This definitely wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen, nor was it the best movie I've ever seen in terms of comic book lore and all that. God damn it, does this movie get kind of boring, and god damn it, does this movie get awesome at the same time. I see that why critics and fans alike are kind of mixed in on what to think of this movie. I don't think any actor in this movie was particularly horrible, nor the CGI, but everything to do with Black Manta just thoroughly pissed me off beyond belief, because not only is he such a bad actor, but I felt that everything about Black Manta just didn't need to be in this movie. We were okay with the brothers' story. This movie reminds me a lot about the original Thor movie, although it has its own take on it and its own spin. But that still doesn't hide the fact that this movie is more meaty core than anything. Its storytelling is something that we've seen before. But can we really blame this movie for that when almost every single superhero movie has followed the same formula? No, not really. The CGI is fucking amazing, but there are times where it's just fucking laughable. There's one time where the CGI focused on one of this Atlantean's face, but his face was so cartoony that I thought I was watching a Warcraft movie. Are you into Warhammer? Are you into Warcraft? Well, you're definitely going to like a fight scene in this movie. Every movie has at least a few subplots. I did like the subplot between his dad and his mom. I did like the subplot, well, the main plot between him and his brother. And I did like the CGI, well, at least about 80% of the time. Everything else in this movie was just either laughable or you just didn't know what to make of it. There were times where the fight scenes in this movie were so great and so epic, but then they come to a sudden stop. There were times where the fight scenes just kind of dragged on, just for the sake of dragging on. And there was one particular fight scene, again, involving Black Manta, that I just didn't care for. I just didn't care anything about Black Manta Ray or whatever. It's not a horrible movie, but it's also not a bad movie. I swear, when I was watching this movie, I saw at least 4 people in this movie get little teary-eyed. Yes, there was a few sad moments in this movie that actually made the audience cry at least 2 or 3 times. And if a movie can make you cry at least 2 or 3 times, it is doing something right. But this movie has some amazing storytelling elements, but at the same time it has a lot of comic booky, laughable moments. There's some moments in this movie that are completely cringeworthy, and there are moments in this movie that made me invested in the story, which again, why we are divided if this movie was actually even good. Jason Momoa definitely holds this movie together. He is definitely something worth watching. Everything else about the other actors that surprised me, William Dafoe, Nicole Kidman, and other actors that are in this movie that completely surprised me that I had no idea was even in this movie because I have only seen the trailers at least one time. Granted, to give them credit, they did kind of retcon Aquaman's origin just to make him a little better on screen. You know, what kind of movie can you make about a superhero that lives underwater that kind of looks a little gay with his orange suit on? I mean, you got to think about it. Like, Aquaman was never really that badass looking, and no one was really that interested in him. But luckily, they changed him for the better. I do like this Aquaman a little better, but god damn it. As soon as Black Manta Ray opens his mouth at the beginning of the movie and he says those horrible lines, I thought to myself, oh my god, this can't be the movie. This is not the movie that I paid to go see. But luckily, 10 minutes later, the movie actually starts getting good. Like I said, everything about Black Manta Ray just completely annoyed me. And I was kept telling myself, oh my god, please don't let this be the movie. And then it switches back to a good movie, and then it goes back to cringeworthy moments. You see, this movie goes back and forth between, oh, good writing, good storytelling, to what the hell is this? Cringeworthy storytelling. And the same thing can be said for the CGI in this movie. The CGI is phenomenal, but at the same time, it switches back and forth between good CGI, okay CGI, and like, oh my god, that is completely laughable. See, this movie is just 50-50. It keeps going back and forth from being a good movie to being like, haha, that's kind of funny. Like I said, we are divided. There was a few times in this movie where I did catch people crying at some of the sad parts in this movie, but I also did catch people laughing, like trying not to laugh out loud at moments in this movie that were not supposed to be funny, that is just either the bad CGI or the bad acting. It's one of the two. God damn it, I hated everything about Black Manta Ray. Like I said, it's a movie about Aquaman. Like, how good of a movie was it going to be anyways? It was just going to be as good as it was going to get. They did their best to retcon his origin. They did their best to make him a badass. They did their best to make him something to make a movie. They couldn't have made a movie with the original Aquaman because that just would have been cringeworthy as hell. And just so we're clear, this is a movie about a character that can talk to fish. Oh, excuse me, he uses echolocation to talk to fish. Once again, this is a movie about Aquaman. Aquaman of DC Comics. This movie wasn't gonna be anything phenomenal. It wasn't gonna be Oscar worthy. You knew what movie this was gonna be when you entered it, but oh my god, I solely believe that they could have cut out at least 30% of this movie. Everything to do with Black Manta Ray. They could have cut out some cheesy lines. And then, and only then, would this have been like a phenomenal movie. But no, it's those cringeworthy moments and everything to do with Black Manta Ray and some of the bad CGI that kind of makes this movie go downhill. If it wasn't for any of that, this movie would be amazing. It would be something I would want to watch over and over again. I was invested in the brothers. I was invested in Arthur. I was invested in the story between his mom and his dad. I was invested in like what the characters were trying to do. I was invested in this movie. But there were times in this movie where something was happening on screen and I told myself, you know what? I could probably go to the bathroom right now and I promise I will not miss one damn thing. If I gave this movie a scale of 1 to 10, I give it about a 6 because it's not a horrible movie. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but also this movie does have a lot of entertaining moments. It has moments that make me invested in this movie. And like I said, people did get teary-eyed in this movie. So this movie is doing something right. It's not a bad movie. It's actually a pretty decent movie, and that's the best way to describe Aquaman. This is Matthew Scooby, signing off.